Welcome back to Rusted Junk, the 80s Movies podcast. Do you find yourself wanting to put on a corked hat, fight crocodiles in the outback and then move to New York? How about befriending an alien by dressing him up as a ghost on Halloween? If so, this is the podcast for you. If you remember searching for that perfect film from Blockbuster, and if you grew up in the UK, waiting for that one VHS copy to be returned to the newsagents, then welcome. We'll have fond memories waiting for you. I'm Charlie, and the rest of the Rusted Junk team are Amanda.
Hello.
Joe.
Howdy, you all.
And Dom.
Hello.
So the film we'll be covering today is the 1983 classic Risky Business. I always say classic. I don't know if I always mean it, and I don't know if that's going to give anything away, but probably not in this case. But yes, we are covering Risky Business. And because it's Lucky Dip and because we drew it out the hat, whose film was it? Who won?
It was mine.
It was. And why did you pick Risky Business?
Well, it's been ages since I've watched it. It's a movie I've watched. Hooray! Ages since I watched it, but I really enjoyed watching it, and I remember thinking, "Oh, that's a really cool movie," and it's got Tom Cruise in his pants.
Okay.
What more could you want, really? Well, you can want a lot more than that, but.
Well, I'm looking forward to the other choices that you picked. Well, I picked it because it had Sean Penn with a hat on or something. I don't know,
okay.
But yeah, Tom Cruise in his pants is probably as good a reason as any. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So as it's your film, you get to go last. So I'm going to go first. In fact, before we do that, we need to watch the trailer. We really do, because we forgot it last time. I'm really sorry.
Still a bit discombobulated, aren't
you? A little bit. Just getting used to the new format. It's fine. Anyway,
format. Here's
the trailer.
So your folks are going out of town.
Just use your best judgment. You know we trust you.
You got the place all to yourself? A good time, Joe. In the privacy of your own home.
Just take those old records off the shelf.
That's her. She's fantastic. Yeah.
I sit and listen to them by myself.
Did you have a good time last night?
I had a great time.
Today's music ain't got the same song.
You ever get high, Joe?
Don't let me do anything stupid. Don't worry.
I like that old time of rock and roll.
Who's the U-boat commander?
Don't try to take me to a disco.
I don't remember giving permission for a party, Joe.
A party?
I still like that old time of rock and roll.
I've got a trig midterm tomorrow, and I'm being chased by Guido, the killer pimp.
Kind of music just soothes the soul.
Doesn't anyone want to accomplish anything, or do we just want to make money?
Make money. Make a lot of money.
That old time of rock and roll.
There's a time for playing it safe.
Rock and roll.
And a time for risky business.
Anyway, I will go first. The problem I have with the film is the problem I have with the trailer. This film does not know what it wants to be. It's suffering a massive identity crisis. It goes. You think it's going in one direction. Oh, that was good. Have I upset her already? She's gone. Oh, she's back. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It's even that trailer. Oh, your mum and dad are going out of town. Oh, we're going to have a party. Oh, it sounds as if it's going to be like a teen film. Oh, no, it's a thriller. Oh, no, it's a film about sex workers. Oh, what is this film? I mean, I really, really didn't know. And I think because I didn't get over that, I can see that it's a classic, and I'd never seen it before. So spoiler alert, even though...
Really? You'd not seen it before?
Yeah, I think I said this to you last time when we picked it out the hat. I said that I hadn't seen it before, so this is the first time that I'd seen it. I do think there are weaknesses. I think there are strengths, and we'll go into all of that. But yeah, it is what it is, and I still don't know what it is. So yeah, who next? Dom?
I'm shocked you've not seen this before, because I think this is the most quintessentially 80s film we've done so far. It's just so evocative of the era. Wow. Okay.
Right.
It's a more complicated grown up film than I remember. In my mind, this was like an early era cruise teen comedy, a kind of fear of the Breakfast Club or Weird Science, but it's not, is it? I mean, parts of the film I thought are lots of fun, pure adolescent wish fulfillment. Home Alone with a beautiful hooker, partying with your mates, a mansion in the Chicago suburbs, driving his dad's Porsche. What's not to love? It's no wonder American movies were so popular in the 80s. And it did just make me so nostalgic for the 80s as well, for all the good qualities of the era, but some of the unashamed boldness of the film's plot as well, not all of which may stand up to much scrutiny. Prostitution's a victimless crime. Pimps are reasonable people who enjoy a bit of banter and are happy to invest their time teaching life lessons. Sex workers all have flawless skin, beautiful hair and teeth, and can easily leave the profession to become models. Princeton's admissions is based on some corrupt scheme around free knee tremblers at student parties. But yeah, we're going to have lots of fun discussing this. I'm looking forward to it.
Joe, that leaves you next.
Yeah, I think I said this the last time, Charlie. Your problem is that you're looking at this movie through 50-year-old Charlie's eyes. If you would have seen it when you were much younger, you would have enjoyed it much more.
You did say to me, actually, when we were watching the movie, and there was some sex scenes in there, you were like, how did I never watch this movie when I was younger? How did this pass me by?
Yeah, especially as
I think you did connect, but I think your kind of brain today got in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's happened with me too, because he loves The Breakfast Club, and I just don't get it. But I'm sure if I saw it when I was a kid, I would think, oh man, I just want to be every single one of those kids. They're so cool.
Yeah.
But now you look at them and they're like a bunch of idiots.
Oh,
on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Joe.
But where you say where it doesn't know where it wants to be, it's not a comedy. It's a drama.
Is it not? Sorry, wait a minute. It's not a comedy.
No, it's not.
Because there are a lot of funny moments in it.
No, yeah, but exactly that's what it is. It's a drama with comedic moments in it, interwoven into it. It's not, National Lampoon's Vacation. It's just a dramedy, but more. I was
waiting for a UFO to turn up, and then we could have had sci-fi. Check. Oh, we've got them all. Bingo.
But it worked at the time. I mean, it was a very successful film, and people really loved it. My biggest problem with this movie is there is no way in hell that Tom Cruise's character would ever have to pay for sex. He's just way too good looking, Tom Cruise, in this movie. And it's weird because it's like, again, I'm straight, but I'm like, kept saying to myself, damn, that guy is so damn good looking. It's like I'm looking at him more than Rebecca De Mornay. It's like, how the hell did this guy get so good looking? And it's also, again, I think what they should have done is maybe have gotten one of your favorites, John Cusack. I think if he would have been in the role, it would have been more acceptable because, he ends up getting sex because of his personality more than his looks, and I think that would have worked a little bit more. Even the guy behind you, Matthew Broderick, might have. I'm not saying that they were better choices because this is Tom Cruise's movie and was his breakout film. And I know it wasn't his first. He did Taps before this, right?
He did.
And what was that movie, Charlie, with him and what's her name from Cheers?
Diane. Oh, Shelley Long.
Yeah, he did a movie with her where they went south of the border, and he was trying to lose his virginity with a bunch of friends. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Yeah, wait a minute. Oh, should know.
It might even be called South of the Border, or One Last Fling or something like that.
Yeah, let's call it South of the Border. Yeah, I remember it well, Joe. It's really good. Yeah.
But this was his breakout, movie, and I enjoy this more, I would say, than most of his movies. I would say I feel like more was done in this movie than Top Gun. I know you're going to disagree with me, but
vehemently.
Top Gun doesn't really have a story. I'm sorry.
Top Gun doesn't need a story.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's mostly action. It's music. It's a MTV music video, and it's cool. But at least this has a story, and it is believable because I've seen this happen before in real life.
Have you?
Wait a
What
minute.
circles
No.
have you been running in?
Yeah.
Well, my friend, when I went to high school with him, he was so good looking, that like all the girls would be lining up his door just to have sex with him,
Wow.
Not like it, and he had a lot of money. He had everything, and he just was given everything in life because of his looks mostly. But he had a party. Yes, he did.
Well,
What is he doing now? Do you know?
He became the
works in a bakery.
He was an assistant to the mayor of New York at some point. Now he made a lot of money. I'm telling you, there are guys that they will go far just from their looks, and my friend was definitely one of them. Not saying that he was smart, but it also gave him confidence. And I think it's the same thing with Cruise. I mean, Cruise didn't have to struggle to get the movie roles that he got after this movie and the ones that he gets now because he's so damn good looking. It's like, they just want him. But anyway, yeah, he had a party. This guy.
Is he still good looking?
I would say
Cruise?
so. There's certain something about
for his
him.
age. Is he 60?
Well, for his
Yeah,
age,
he's 60 now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a dough ball face now because of all the Botox that's in it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it in Maverick. There are times when you can see he's starting to show his age finally, but come on, he's 60. It's about time he starts getting old. But no, my friend, he did
all his own stunts. So
yeah, that's a little crazy.
Still at 60, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if you haven't checked it out, by the way, dear listeners or viewers, go into YouTube the Tom Cruise stunts for what's it called? Mission Impossible. What's the new film? Just go and type in Tom Cruise death-defying Mission Impossible and see the latest stunt where he
it's just amazing.
Base jumps off the side of a cliff from a motorbike.
On a motorbike.
Yeah, that's one of the funkiest things I've seen for a while.
He spends a whole year practicing.
Yeah, the one shot.
Just phenomenal. The amount of stuff I can't remember. It's like hundreds of jumps he's done, isn't it, out of an aeroplane before he's even got to the point where he's testing out
just like 300
motorcycling
just
on the
300 jumps, just like 5.
I love the guy, but he's a little insane. I mean, just look at the whole Christian Science thing that he's involved with. So for him to jump out of an airplane like 30 times just to do a stunt, that's a little crazy.
300 it was. Anyway, so Amanda, your film. So I guess because you picked it, you got fond memories. I'm suggesting this is all going to be good. So far away.
Do you want me to do a synopsis of it?
Yes, could do, and then just go into your feelings.
Okay, so Rolling Stone actually put a little different sort of take on it, and they said the sight of young Tom Cruise in tighty whities, I presume that's his underpants.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, button-down shirt and tube socks, dancing to Bob Seger's old-time rock and roll by himself became an iconic image for young males in the early 80s. But watch it again in the context of the movie, and you realise how funny it is. That's interesting because you were saying it wasn't a comedy. Cruise has always had a gift for physical comedy, though he uses these talents rarely. In this classic, he's alternately ambitious and underachieving, horny yet sheltered, driven yet lost, the ultimate teenager. So I thought that was quite interesting. And when he gets the chance to run a brothel out of his parents' house, I don't think it was the chance to run a brothel. I think it happened to be circumstance. I think that he had to because he needed a lot of money quite quickly. So run a brothel out of his parents' house while they're on vacation. It's both the ultimate in wish fulfillment and a nightmare waiting to happen. A hilarious sex comedy. I wouldn't say hilarious. A touching coming-of-age movie and a chance to see a young actor turn into a generation-defining movie star before your very eyes. So that's what Rolling Stone had to say about it. But I guess, if you haven't seen it, or if you have and you just want a quick kind of like overview, he's suffering like major anxiety about his future. He's a solid student, but he's not academically exceptional in any way. So his parents, go on a trip to visit an injured relative, leaving him alone. And then his friend Miles, who's played by Curtis Armstrong, he's goaded to look in. It's back in the day when we had phones like with cords on them in the house on a landline, and back in the day when you had private adverts in papers. You remember newspapers by any chance? So yeah, there's this advert for a prostitute basically, and Miles calls the prostitute, and it turns out to be a man dressed as a woman, and it's really not his thing at all. But then obviously he says, well, I think you need my friend Lana, and then he's like, oh yeah, thanks, but no thanks, it's fine. But then later on the next evening, he's obviously getting a bit frisky, and then calls her, and she comes round. Can
I just interrupt for a moment? Synopsis, couple of paragraphs. You know.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's fine, but it's all right. We can go through the whole movie. We can.
Okay, all right. So she steals an egg, a crystal egg, while she's there. So he needs to get that back, and then things happen as a result of all of that. And he ends up needing a lot of cash very quickly, so he sets up the brothel from his home. But he's also part of an entrepreneurial that's the one group, who, because he's trying to get into like the Ivy League university college, but he's not quite getting the marks, and he's thought it would be a really good idea to join this group and, like, you know, try and get in that way, showing a bit of initiative and stuff. But it's actually quite funny because he ends up making loads of money. But I think, was it a desk memo that he originally came up with his mate?
Yeah.
And it was just really crap idea.
Yeah, flashes.
Really rubbish.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ends up making a lot of money very quickly. And I think it's all about that kind of, I don't know, I suppose we'll talk about it later in the podcast, but that for me was a little bit funny. He's part of this entrepreneurial group, yet outside of it he makes a massive load of money, and I think it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say. We'll come on to that later.
It's like, yeah, it's like,
that's the message I think of it. It's like that. Yeah, you can go to college for 4 years.
Yeah.
And an Ivy League school, or you can just find something where you can make. What did he make? Like
8,000. He came out with 8,000 after it all. I think someone did all the figures, and they said there were 14 ladies. Each of them made about $3,500. And they must have slept with about 16 people each to come out with him making $8,000 at the end of it, because he had $50 for every thing, basically. Anyway,
the state of them after that, they must have looked like a plasterer's radio.
Oh God, Tom, that's horrendous.
It's great. I don't have to click the button because it stays under the radar. Oh, brilliant. So
I do want, I mean, later I hope we talk about the ending.
Oh, we're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about, yeah. That's the whole point. That's what we do, Joe. But before we do that, I would like to, just before we go into roll call, Amanda's done this one. So
who knows where this will go?
I still don't know if she liked it or not. She never said it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, obviously, I like the movie. I picked it.
Oh, okay.
Not like Joe, who's picked a movie that everybody's going to hate, including him. So, yeah, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Why have you done that?
Well, we'll find out.
Revenge.
It may get drawn out the hat. Apparently, it's revenge for me doing the Breakfast Club, despite the fact that
it's not.
You were invited onto that show,
No,
Joe.
it's not. No, it was the Cannonball Run 2. I ended up watching the damn movie.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, Man and I ended up watching about 10 minutes of it, and we thought it was rubbish. We're not going to do it. After I had already watched it. That's called revenge.
Well, when I pick the film out the hat, you're going to go, that is not consummate to the crime. It really isn't.
Oh, you never know. You never know.
Oh, I do. Anyway, right. Well, let's go into roll call. Here we go.
Roll call.
Fire away, sweetheart.
Oh, it's me already. Oh,
It is?
God. Hang on.
Oh,
I've got
yeah.
to get me thing ready. Hang on.
Oh,
Sauce.
the professional.
One thing I did notice doing my research, it was released August the 5th, 1983 in the US. But the UK release date was the 23rd of March, 1984.
That happens.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had to wait a whole 6 months later.
Well, it's like Jaws is 75. That got released over for the summer blockbuster in the States. We got it on Boxing Day. just what just what you want. It's
it's not bad, is it?
Freezing you behind off.
Well, I think a lot of times what they'll do is like if it doesn't do well in the domestic or American audience, they just won't release it over there.
That's true. Yeah, good call there, Joe.
We get it straight to VHS.
Yeah.
I assume we're going to start with Tom Cruise. I've got to say,
hang on.
Oh, sorry.
Box office takings.
Oh.
$63.5 million.
How much did it cost to make?
Don't know.
Okay. I
So, Tom Cruise, then we've already discussed. He's now 60 years old. So when he made this film, he was actually 20. So he wasn't. How old do you have to be to go to college, Joe? Is it 18 or is it 16?
No, it's like 18.
18, right? Okay. So he was 2 years older than what he should have been, basically. So Tom Cruise, his movies really before that of any significance was obviously one that we've Charles and I have reviewed, Taps, which was in 1981. Yeah, it was a good film. And a bit of trivia. I think the director didn't necessarily warm to the idea of him being in the role because he thought he was probably a bit too aggressive, a bit too violent for the role, based on what he'd seen in Taps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, Tom Cruise then, roll call. I suspect you've all got something to chip in with. I haven't put loads of stuff. I've just put Taps and Top Gun 1986 because obviously this movie is basically launched him into the bigger stratosphere and the massive success that he's going to become.
Absolutely. I would say Tom Cruise is up there. Mel Gibson, Michael Douglas, great true movie stars. I wouldn't say he's a great actor. I'm not a big fan. He's pretty much one note, I would say, unless of course you look at Magnolia, in which he is unbelievably good in that film. And certainly you go, wait a minute, Tom Cruise can act. Yes, I know. But for every Born on the 4th of July, you've got Far and Away. You've got some mulch that people just go to watch.
I still like Far and Away.
Oh, nobody. Do you like the accents, Joe?
No, I would rather there have been authentic Irish people cast in the movie. But I still like.
Hadn't he met Nicole Kidman?
Yes. Hadn't he met her at the? Hadn't he met her?
No, I think it was Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder, yeah.
Yeah. Days of Thunder, Cold Trickle. It's good, and you go to watch a Tom Cruise film to be entertained. You don't go watch it to see him play Hamlet. But he is a bona fide movie. He still is, and he always has been.
He's 4 times Oscar nominated, but it's interesting that you mentioned Magnolia, Charlie, because that is one of his nominees. But the only time he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and I agree, he was excellent in that film. But it must be one of the strongest Best Supporting Actor shortlists in recent years, because the other nominees were Jude Law for The Talented Mr. Ripley, which I think is a brilliant performance. Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense, which for a kid was pretty good. Michael Clark Duncan for The Green Mile, very strong performance, and the overall winner, who was Michael Caine for The Cider House Rules, which is a wonderful film. Not the sort of movie we would typically cover on this pod, but if you've not seen The Cider House Rules, I'd encourage you to watch it. I thought that was
okay. I've never seen it, so yeah, I would.
No, I've not seen that.
Yeah,
is it about cider?
The book's great as well. Well, it's one to watch when you're in a mood for something above and beyond what we sort of films we talk about here, much as wonderful as they are. But yeah, that's a hell of a shortlist. Michael Caine, Jude Law, Haley Joel Osment, and Michael Clark Duncan.
We disagreed over. I remember when we were like workmates. I think we disagreed about The Talented Mr. Ripley because I just went, it's pretentious rubbish.
Oh, it's a fantastic film.
You always loved it. And I was like, look at this. Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, mate, I don't know what else you need to complete your bingo card on this. Soft, warm lighting, Venice. Oh, I was just like, what?
Palestine.
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef?
I did want to say, I agree and disagree with a couple of things that you said, Charlie.
No, well, it wouldn't be normality, would it, Joe, if it wasn't?
No, I agree. I can't see him playing Hamlet, but I disagree that he's a bad actor. I think he's a very good actor. And like Dom mentioned, he's been nominated for several of his roles. I felt that he deserved the Oscar more than Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. I mean, if you see that Dustin Hoffman, again, it's typical, I'll play a mentally handicapped character and I'll get an Oscar. Forrest Gump, I Am Sam, like all these, they just have that thing. But I think that Tom Cruise is very good in a lot of stuff. Color of Money, I thought he was good in. I just think he's a good actor. And I think what hurts him is that he's so good looking. I think Brad Pitt is also like that too. I think he's a very good actor, but he's held back by how good looking he is.
But he can act. Yeah.
I totally agree with Joe. I think that's a brilliant point. Yeah.
You had to mention Forrest
What about De Niro, though? Because he's good looking. That didn't really hold him back.
Who's that?
Robert De Niro.
Well, he gets all those awards. Does he have 2 or 3 Oscars?
3. He's not the 5 club, is he?
I think the difference, Amanda, and you put me right here if I'm talking nonsense, is I just like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise are more pretty boys, whereas perhaps Robert De Niro is more handsome. Yeah, classically handsome, a leading man. But these are more sort of born from the 80s and 90s. Those two.
Yeah. Okay. There's too much talk about hot men. So.
Well, all I'd say is Cocktail is unadulterated fun, and it's just. You just want to go back and you want something that's going to make you smile, keep you entertained. You know what's coming. Cocktail.
Top 3 Cruise films then. Go on, Charlie. Put you on the spot.
Oh, Lord. Well, Top Gun Maverick. No, well, I don't know if it has to be in there. I mean, for sheer entertainment that I wasn't expecting. I would put Taps in there because I genuinely think his character is dedicated, unhinged, and at the end has to complete the mission. I just think he's wonderful. So, am I arguing against myself already? Because yes, he did act very well in that film. So, just forget everything I said for the last 10 minutes. It's fine. But performances, I mean, yeah, Magnolia, I think would be up there, just because of the change in his character from the start to, you think he's this all-encompassing male, egotistical, misogynist. And then at the end, you go, he's got this. It's very poignant. I don't know if I could answer that because it depends what Tom Cruise I'm in the mood for.
He's good. Like even like that Live Die Repeat, he was good in that one. And then what was Oblivion?
Sorry, you mean The Edge of Tomorrow, Joe?
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow. I was going to say that.
I thought it was one of those ones where the Americans called it something else, and
it was originally supposed to be called Live Die Repeat.
They didn't like. Okay.
No, never was.
All right.
I couldn't think of. I was going to say The Day After Tomorrow, and I have a feeling that's not it. But thank you for correcting me. Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Oblivion is also awesome.
Oh.
It's just he's a good action, dramatic star. I would say.
What about Tropic Thunder?
Yes, that's one of my personal favorite films, and his cameo in that is awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Oh dear.
Did you say that sarcastically, Amanda?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, because
I quite like the movie.
I do. It's because it's not that old a film, really, is it? Certainly not as old as some of these movies we're talking about. But there's no way that'd get made today. The character that plays the black guy, Blacks Up. What's he called?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, and Jack Black. It's hilarious. And Tom Cruise, fair play for somebody who does take himself a bit seriously off screen. On screen, he doesn't mind putting in a performance like that. I've been stitches when I first saw it.
See, Robert Downey Jr. gets asked about that and said, "Could you make that now?" And he goes, "Yeah, I would make it now because it's satire. It's He didn't see it as trying to be offensive. He saw it as somebody that was so well crafted to his art that he was willing to go the extra mile in order to complete it. And he's just like, so Robert Downey Jr. is certainly not ashamed of. I don't think anyone that was in Tropic Thunder is ashamed of Tropic Thunder. And I just think, well, that's quite refreshing these days because usually they just throw it under the bus and go.
I'm not sure they're ashamed of it, but I think you make Tropic Thunder 2 these days and you become cancelled social media
You
pariahs.
fall under the woke bus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I'm sure it's got a disclaimer on whatever streaming platform it's on. Oh, don't watch this if you're like, under 20.
Right, shall we, are we done on Tom Cruise?
We are. We're going to have to speak. This is a roll call that's going to go on for about an hour.
Yeah, okay.
We can go quickly. Yeah, okay.
Rebecca De Mornay. So she was 24 when this film was made and released. So she was 3 to 4 years older than Tom Cruise. She actually lied about her age. So she would get cast to appear younger, basically. I haven't really got a lot about her, to be perfectly honest. She was in Runaway Train, played Sarah in 1985 with Eric Roberts and John Voight.
Eric Roberts, king of the straight to DVD. Okay.
The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, she played Peyton Flanders in 1992.
Good.
She was good in that as well, yeah.
That was a good film, yeah. Bit crazy, wasn't it? And she was in Wedding Crashers in 2005 with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. And I didn't realise this, but in 2012, she played the role of Finch's mum in the movie American Reunion, where she portrayed an attractive older woman and love interest of Stifler. So it wasn't just Stifler's mum that was getting all the action. It was actually...
American Pie Reunion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and then from 2015 to 2019, she appeared in Marvel's Jessica Jones as Trish Walker's abusive mother. She's done other bits and bobs, but has anybody got anything to add to that?
Yes, By Dawn's Early Light. It's a TV movie in 1990, starring Powers Booth. She plays a Air Force pilot. Basically, a missile fires from Turkey into a nuclear missile fires from Turkey into Russia. It detonates, and then it's like all about the American response and should it be? Because was it NATO? Was it not? Well, and all this. So yeah, you could bang it on now and just substitute different countries for whatever else. But it stars. She's remarkably good in it, despite the fact that you think that she's just one note. But it's got James L. Jones in it, and it's also got Martin Landau from Space 1999 as president. And I'm like thinking, wow, that's pretty good. I do remember it being good, but again, Dom, to nick your continued reference to it, if it was pointless, there's your pointless answer on Rebecca De Mornay. Nobody would get that.
She didn't have an illustrious career, did she? The only one that you didn't miss that I thought of, Amanda, was Backdraft, and that's that was a middling hit, I think, at best in the early 90s.
Who was the lead in that?
Kurt Russell.
That was it.
Oh, and Robert De Niro.
I'm not overly keen on him, actually.
And had which Baldwin? Billy Baldwin.
Billy Baldwin.
Yeah.
No, I think the only thing I have to say about her, she had a really hot body.
Yeah.
And I'm not crazy about her face.
What?
It's all right. It's just
she's
average.
not in Glenn Close territory, though, is she?
No.
You're
no, that would have made more sense.
Close.
You know what she reminds me? She reminds me of Taylor Swift.
A little bit.
I made that in my notes as I was watching the film. She looks like a Taylor Swift, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Great minds think alike.
Sorry, where are they? Okay.
Oh, right, next then.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Joe Pantoliano. He played Guido the pimp.
Yeah.
He's appeared in over 150 films, television and stage productions.
Yes.
So he was actually in MASH. Did you know?
Yes.
All right. Oh, I didn't know that. And
the movie or the TV series?
We have covered Joe Pantoliano before on a previous podcast.
TV series. Yeah, TV.
Do you remember which one we covered?
No.
He was the police chief in Running Scared.
Oh, no. Okay. So he's also been in Hill Street Blues, The Goonies, La Bamba, Empire of the Sun. I thought that was a band, but okay. NYPD Blue, Memento, Bad Boys, and its sequels. He starred as Cosmo Renfro in the thriller film The Fugitive, and 5 years later in its spin-off thriller film US Marshals, with 3 co-stars, Tommy Lee Jones, Daniel Robert, and LaTanya Richardson, and Caesar in the Wachowskis' directorial, you can tell I'm reading this, debut, Bound, and played Cypher in their second film, The Matrix, in 1999. Obviously, that starred Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and Carrie-Anne Moss. He was also in the Netflix series 2015 to 2018 in Sense8. Never heard of it. And I recognise him as playing Ralphie from The Sopranos, in which he won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a drama series. Did you know he was offered the role of Leo? Okay. In Lethal Weapon 2, but was forced to turn it down due to a conflict with the film of Blue Heat. Joe Pesci obviously ultimately played the role. That's it. Yeah.
Sits in his LA mansion with a bottle of whiskey going, oh God, I could never live that down, that I turned it down. He would have been really good in the Joe
He would
Pesci.
have been.
Yeah, he would.
They are very similar, I think, like with their voices, their accents.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone else got anything to add about Joe? His nickname's Joe Pants, by the way.
Yeah, Joey Pants.
Mm.
No, I think I mostly remember him from The Matrix, and I thought he was great in that, and The Sopranos. But yeah, he's been in so many roles, like you said. Like you'll always say, it's like, oh, he's in this, he's in that one too.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, next then, Curtis Armstrong.
Yay!
Isn't he a singer?
That's Curtis Stigers.
Oh, I'm sure there's a. Anyway. Okay, Curtis Armstrong, American actor, singer, best known for playing the role of Booger in the Revenge of the Nerds film.
Oh, look how you say it. Booger, yeah.
No
Booger.
idea who that is. Never seen him.
Yeah.
Herbert Viola and the TV series Moonlighting. No, I remember that.
Yes.
He was quite annoying in that.
He was.
Yeah, and record producer Ahmet Ertegun in the film Ray, as well as for playing the role of Metatron on the TV series Supernatural. He's also known for providing his voice, because he's not a looker, is he, really? For such characters as, forgive me, I've never watched these, American Dad. So he plays Shmooly Snot Lonstein. And Maru in the animated film Planes, Fire and Rescue, in addition to portraying the title character on the animated TV series Dan versus Mr.
No, it's Dan versus the World. I love that show.
Oh, okay.
He's so good in that.
Okay.
Okay.
I need to watch that.
He plays Robot Default on Robot and Monster. And, oh God, why have these characters got such weird names? He plays the cockroach in Doom Patrol, if that means anything for anyone.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you've done well to pad this out, because really he's like essentially famous for being typecast, and that Revenge of the Nerds role defines him, I think, and he's really struggled to break out of that. And in fact, I think there's even a Simpsons reference to it in Bart Gets Famous, season 5, episode 12. But I think he's notable for Revenge of the Nerds franchise, and the fact that he clearly got cast in this film that we watch in Risky Business, because he's shorter than Tom Cruise. So they actually managed to find somebody who Tom Cruise would be able to tower
He's
over.
5'1", isn't he? I think.
Yeah. No, seriously, I think that's
5'4", 5'6", something like that.
I'm sure that's why he was cast, because he was 30 in 1983. You know, playing a high school student, a very implausible high school student.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but his short stature saved the day.
Oh,
Okay.
can we have a shout out? I'm sorry, we're missing the complete obvious here. Charles DeMar in Better Off Dead.
I was going to say
John
that.
Cusack's best man, where he's got his rolled up note, and he's on top of the mountain, and it's like going, "This is snow. There's snow everywhere." And you're just thinking, he's so good in that film. And then obviously, One Crazy Summer a year later,
Yeah.
where he plays Akak Raymond, who basically is into all the military stuff. It's he's brilliant, and it does annoy me that I found him so annoying in Moonlighting. And when Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd wanted time off, and it was a Bert, Viola, and Agnes de Pesto episode. Oh God, they were awful. I mean, really, really bad. But then you'd always go back to Revenge of the Nerds or something like that and go, he's very talented. So I'm glad that I've got some recommendations to go and see some more stuff that I should. Great, absolutely. More Curtis Armstrong. Definitely.
Okay, right, let's move on. Bronson Pinchot? Pinchot? I don't know. How do you pronounce his name? Pinchot?
Bronson Pinchot.
Okay, best known, again, no idea, never seen it. Playing Balky on the ABC sitcom Perfect Strangers from 1986 to 93. Obviously, in this film, Beverly Hills Cop, he was in. After Hours, True
Can I
Romance.
be to make you an espresso? I'll make it myself. It's very nice. With the less
Oh, that's him.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Beverly Hills Cop 3. Stephen King's The...
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Like Langoliers? Is that Langoliers? I don't know.
Langoliers.
Oh, there we go. See, I've never seen that either. This is like a compendium of films and TV series I've never
If
seen.
you expected Roll Call to be anything other than what this is, based on listening to this podcast, Amanda, then you're in the wrong place.
Okay. He was also in It's My Party, Courage Under Fire, and The First Wives Club, and in TV series Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, which I know you liked, Charles.
Yeah.
Because you fancied what was the name?
Terry Hatcher.
No, Terry Hatcher. I quite liked. It was
there you go, something for everyone.
It was the guy.
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain. Oh yeah, he was quite saucy. Oh God, I'm showing my age again. He was also in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. In 2012, he started his own reality series, The Bronson Pinchot Project, on the DIY network.
I thought you were talking about Dean Cain.
No. So he's worked extensively as an audiobook narrator. So he's done lots of stuff I've never even heard of. Anything got any?
Didn't the DIY channel have Vanilla Ice's home renovations on it? That was quite an entertaining show, I must say.
It was actually quite a good show. Yeah, I enjoyed watching that.
I never knew he had skills apart from rapping.
Well,
I forget. I think his breakout hit was Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah,
and then they gave him the role of Balky and Perfect Strangers,
which he's great in.
But I always thought he was foreign. That's how good he was, and it's just so odd to see him speaking perfect English.
Yes, Mr. Axel Foley's here. Ahmed. Oh, and he's just amazing. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Right, Richard started Rutherford.
Yes, in The Thing, of course, if you remember him in The Thing.
Yeah, so he's been in more than 80 films, but most of them I'd never heard of at all. He's best known for playing David Kane on One Day at a Time, Nick Lobo on Rhoda, Clark in The Thing, Stanley Uris in the miniseries It, and Edward L. Moore on Younger.
Who's that, the father?
The guy, the Princeton admissions guy.
Oh, the Princeton admissions guy. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it as far as people. Have you got anything on his parents, babe?
Yes, I've got one. Nicholas Pryor plays his dad. Was also the dad of Robert Downey Jr. in Less Than Zero, which is amazing. You need to go watch that if you've not watched it, and then go and listen to our podcast, of course. He was in Halloween Kills. Joe, he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Really?
Yeah, he played Oznik. And I'm like, I don't remember. But then he was in a TV series. Now, normally, when you look at actors in TV series, you go, yeah, well, they had 50 episodes. Yeah, obviously did really well. Joe, you're going to have to help me out here. He made 347 appearances in a TV show called Port Charles.
Port Charles was a spin-off of General Hospital. It was a soap opera.
Okay. Well, he was in 347 of them. So he was obviously...
He's just a glorified extra as far as I'm concerned.
Aww.
Anyway, I didn't have anything for the mum, but I think that's it probably for roll call.
So that's roll call then.
Right. Okay. Can I just kickstart this by when I started watching the film and you saw his dream? I went, is he going into Ferris's house by any chance? Because it looked like Ferris's drive. It looked like Ferris's house. It turns out that Ferris's house in real life is just around the corner.
Oh, really?
And I just went, that's too familiar. There's something going on here. But yeah, I did like the dream. I didn't know it would go that far.
I always have that dream too. Still.
What, his dream?
What?
Yeah.
The long shower corridor.
Oh no, the part of not studying for a test or being late for an exam.
Oh, you miss out the rude stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, the other stuff.
Going straight into the late for the test.
Yeah, you don't have dreams like that, Joe. Yeah, we understand. That's fine. That's all right. Tom, strong opening or?
Yeah, it's a bit of a cynical opening, I think, luring in the male audience with the TNA in the first couple of minutes. Yeah, I don't know. It just it does set the scene, I suppose, and just that suburban American mansion. You talk about Ferris Bueller, but there's also Home Alone, and there must be this little enclave in Chicago suburbs somewhere where all these millionaires live, and they film all these films because it looks beautiful.
Uncle Buck as well.
Don't ever go to Chicago. Trust me.
Oh, Joe.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Look it up. The one thing that bothered me about that scene is that they had Tom Cruise's voice in that girl's body. That always bothers me because it just ruins the scene for me.
Ruins it in what way?
Because she sounds like a dude.
Puts him off his stroke.
He's pressed that mute button so many times.
I'll try that next time.
Oh, of course, yeah, next time. Yeah. Okay, get you.
I've started it so many times, just haven't got to the finish. Brilliant.
What I don't get is that you move after that and you see them all together for the first time. You see Curtis Armstrong, Bronson Pinchot. You see them all together. They dress pretty cool. Why does Tom Cruise dress as he wears preppy clothes?
Yeah,
and rides a racer. He's probably the least cool guy out of that group, despite the fact he's the best looking. But he's the least cool guy out of the group.
Well, hang on. Because what was the film we watched with? This is going to be one of those moments again. Sorry. It's the film with Robert Downey Jr. with the guy who is dealing drugs.
Less than Zero. James Spader was the drug
James
dealer.
Spader. You see, James Spader's preppy. A little bit preppy.
What?
Well, I think. I mean, speaking as an American. Oh, you go, Charlie. And I'll.
No. I'm just silent in disbelief. After you, Joe.
No, I'm saying, speaking as an American, there were a lot of people. Just because your friends would dress cool doesn't necessarily mean that all your friends would dress cool. Some would dress as preppy or yuppie or whatever, like he did, and he had more money, definitely, I would say, than they did.
I think his dad probably expected him to be turned out a certain way as well, wasn't?
Yeah, they were very strict.
They had high expectations academically of him, and he was a bit scared to actually tell them, "I've not done particularly well." But how he got away with this sort of escapade the whole movie, I have no idea.
It's hard to believe.
I've just got to bring it back. James Spader's white suit in Pretty in Pink was more Don Johnson than preppy.
No, he's got a certain style though. It's very similar.
Do you know what? It's always cool. He exists. His resting face is cool, and then he turns it on.
James Spader.
I do. I definitely man crush on James Spader.
I'm only making a point.
True.
Okay, let's move on.
So, I think the family dynamic as well was one of those. Would you call it cliched that the dad is, very controlling, and the mum's very, oh, don't worry about your dad type thing, and it just seems that,
we trust you. Yeah, use your own judgment.
She's controlling too.
Do you think so?
I think they're both controlling. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because she let him have it, kind of, that she was disappointed that her egg had a crack in it.
Mm.
Oh, speaking of the egg, it's one of those things where it focuses. Sorry, the light's getting. I'm going to have to move a bit because the light's getting in my face. When they focus on the egg and the camera goes in onto the egg, I was expecting the film to turn into vice versa. That Tom Cruise is going to put his hand on it and somebody else is going to, well, Rebecca De Mornay, and they're going to switch bodies and it's going to be a body switch because it just felt like it just had an ornament. Because all of the body swap thing had a thing that they touched both at the same time, and that's how they body swapped.
If his character swapped bodies with Rebecca De Mornay, he wouldn't have come out of the bedroom.
Yeah, he'd never leave the house. Well, neither would she, I suppose. I don't know.
She would.
Well, okay. How would that work?
She was a prostitute, for God's sake.
Yeah, but she's in Tom Cruise's body.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Cruise is not coming out of his room because he's Rebecca De Mornay now, and Rebecca De Mornay's got Tom Cruise in her head, going, "I guess I have to go out and earn some money." But then he's going, "But I'm heterosexual."
They would both be very sore.
For different reasons, Joe.
Jesus. Oh my God, where's this going?
Crikey. Anyway, yeah, I just thought that when he zooms it in, it's like plot point. Wow, it was like a big red alert thing for you, just to let you know this is going to come back.
Why would she automatically go to that crystal egg thing?
Well, because it looks expensive.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of other stuff.
She was a bitch in this movie, you know.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. I mean, yeah, she was attractive and all that, but still, she kind of turned me off throughout the whole movie. She could have been a little nicer. I didn't have any sympathy for her. Yeah,
well, you know, I mean, obviously with the line from her mum, use your best judgment. You then from there it cuts to the iconic bit, obviously the Bob Seger all-time rock and roll. Now, even if
I don't understand is right after he's done that. Well, is that before or after? He's like, no, it's before, isn't it? His dad has basically told him about how to use the equalizer and he'd put the bass up, and he said, "No, we don't do that. You know, it stays at this level." Anyway, whacks it up and he sticks his tunes on, has a few bevies, gets the old whiskey out or whatever, raids the drinks cabinet, then takes the car for a spin. What the hell's that about? You don't do that after a few bevies.
That's real, though.
Is that normal?
Yeah, I was going to say that's America, isn't it? It's just. I was talking about this yesterday I went out to Birmingham with some friends, and I went, America doesn't. When I went to Richmond, Virginia, and I asked about taxis, they had one. Do you remember that? I asked. They have a taxi firm. They go, no, not one taxi firm, one taxi.
I thought you were going to tell the story of that petrol station near our work where everyone used to go drinking at the petrol station and just get tagged up at the garage, fill up the cars and drive off. Yeah, it'd be totally illegal in this country, but yeah, over there it was fine.
It's still totally illegal over there, but everybody does it.
Yeah, and we've done that too, like where we've taken cars out into the parking lot and spin around and around with it. I mean, everything that he did, I've done before with my friends.
You've been doing donuts in the car park, Joe.
Yes.
Those poor tires.
With his parents' car.
Wow.
While they were away.
Oh.
Well, when I was
movie,
I did make a movie of my the escapades in a house party that went badly wrong, but it wasn't this one that I want to tell a story about. My parents used to, as well as putting money in my pocket, sending me off to Newcastle.
Random.
When I started college, they also went. They said, "You're 17 now, so you can now look after the house. It's all yours. We're going away for 2 weeks." And they went away for 2 weeks in the summer, 2 weeks at Christmas. They went away as soon as the school holidays, and they went, "Chuck me the keys. Here's some money. We stocked the freezer. All yours."
Jeez.
And so the first time that I had that, I went, "What should I do?" And I had a party, and I invited about 30 people, and we had the first of many parties that we had. The one that I probably remember probably remember but don't remember in certain parts, is that we went down to the local pub, and somebody had got wind that I was having a party. So I got back, met people coming away from the house in 3 lorry loads, 3 pickup truck type things in the back, and there was 30 of them. And we were going the other way, and they went, "All right, Charles, yeah, fine, yeah. You having a party tonight?" No, 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 no. I've just got 25 people with me. That's no, no, no. I'm not having a party. Anyway, I get to the house. Somebody challenged me to drink half a bottle of scotch, which I do in one go, and then end up going to bed because it's bad. This is at my own party. Next thing I know, door comes bursting open. There's 40 people outside now. They're all trying to get in. Because we lived upstairs, they were forming human ladders to try and get into the top of the house. Right, and they were just repelling them. People doing like tomato ketchup.
Was it like a scene from the Muppets?
Like a castle battlements. It was like, because they couldn't get up to the side of the house where the stairs were. Anyway, my friend goes, "What should I do?" I said, "Well, I don't know." And he said, "You should phone the police." And I went, "Oh," he said, "It's mayhem out there, honestly. Phone the police." So instead of dialing up the local police station, going, "Yes, I'd just like to report there's something else," he picks up the phone, dials 999, gets the two cars doing the bypass, doing the speed checks on the bypass. They get a riot van from Shrewsbury to turn up at my house. Meanwhile, somebody shouts out at the top, "Well, you better F off because otherwise you're going to be done by the police." They scarper and they scatter. The next thing that I know, I don't know this is going on. I'm like semi-comatose and asleep. Is when they get me up and go, "The police are outside and they want to have a word with you." And I went and I looked in the driveway, van, two cars, and I'm just like, "Oh God!" And I remember them coming up the stairs. I said, "Could somebody sober me up because I can't really talk." And they kept slapping me around the face. And then the police went, "Yes, Mr. Hunter. Mr. Hunter, can we speak to Mr. Hunter?" And they were like, "Yeah, is there anyone in this house that shouldn't be here?" And I went, "I think everyone's inside that should be. Thank you very much, officer." You know, you're 8 at this point. I think it was 18 because we'd had but a few. And I just went, "Yeah, I'm really sorry, officer. You know, all this. Right, we'll just go and check the rooms. Check my mum and dad's room. There's 4 of them in there having hanky-panky, shall I say.
Jeez.
Yes. Yeah, 4 of them in my mum and dad's room. They can't get the other door open, the toilet. And I'm like, I don't know who's in there because everyone else is accounted for, but there's somebody in the toilet. Well, we'll leave you to sort that out. Bam, 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 bam. They went upstairs, but they went. Didn't say, wasted police time. We managed to get the toilet door open, and a guy that we didn't know was in there, but he'd been sick on the ceiling. In fact, everywhere but the toilet.
Oh, for God's sake!
Right. So, do you know what? I could go on. I could do a spin-off podcast just on this. I would like to say that we redecorated the house 3 times because of things that happened in the house.
Not that week.
No, not that week. Over the course of 2 years.
Oh, for God's sake! Didn't you break a glass thingy?
Yeah. So we broke a glass pane, and I had to pretend that I got up in the middle of the night and I'd slipped and I'd pushed one of the statue things into it. And that's why I had to replace it. Dad comes back, comes up the stairs, and then goes, "That's not a pane of glass. That's not." The first thing he says, not "Hi, Charles, how's everything going?" He goes, "That's not." Yeah, it is. It's the egg. That's not the pane of glass. And we'd searched everywhere for that piece of glass to get it as close as we possibly could. Do you know what he did? He unpacked his bag. He went downstairs. He went to the shed. He came back upstairs, and he went with a pair of goggles, and he went right, and he lump hammered the whole side down. And now I've been praised for that.
Because your parents live in an upside down house, so the lounge is upstairs because of the views and stuff.
Yes.
So this was a staircase going up to the lounge area. And it was all panelled with glass.
Yeah, panels with glass. Then you had a dining room, and then you went through to the lounge. Well, because he took a lump hammer to all of this, because he couldn't have that one pane of glass that looked different from anything else. I've been credited with saying you made the house so much better because when you come upstairs, it's now open plan. And I was like, yeah. And to this day, he goes, "You didn't trip over the dog, did you?" And I went, "I did, Dad. I did. I tripped over the dog."
Has he never told him the truth?
I think he knows the truth. We've joked about it so many times.
He's never going to listen to the podcast, so
he might be an avid listener.
I don't think he would.
I'll get a phone call.
Bastard.
Oh, you know my dad.
So I didn't realise how many parallels there were between this film and your early life, Charles.
Yes.
There was also that time that you ordered a big black transsexual escort to your house, wasn't there? Do you want to share with our listeners what happened on that night?
No, that wasn't that.
Sent him away.
I wouldn't be
Not the way I
surprised.
remember it.
There was somebody. Okay, one thing I'm not proud of, and then we'll finish this because otherwise we can just keep going
One
on.
thing you're not proud of.
One thing that I can remember that I'm not proud of on that particular day is we were trying to get everybody together for a party, but one of them wouldn't come, and he was staying at his house, which was about 4 miles away. And I went, why are you not coming? Oh, no, I'm not coming. I'm busy. No, you need to come. Otherwise, we'll Spencer you. Spencer was the name of our dog. And if you fell asleep at parties, this is where I might have to talk carefully. Otherwise, I'm going to have to click that explicit button. But you would lift, if somebody fell asleep with the mouth open, you would lift Spencer. And you would, yes. And you put parts of Spencer into the mouth. And that would be called you'd been Spencered.
Oh, what's wrong with you guys?
Okay, but Joe, what comes next is probably a bit tamer. But we called a taxi, and we put Spencer in the taxi and sent it to his house. And so he rang us back. He goes, "Why is your dog here?" I said, "You've been Spencered, remote Spencering," and he had to look after the dog for the night because we all started getting drunk and we couldn't get Spencer till the next day. Anyway, there we go.
God.
Yes, there are parallels. So let's get back to the film. Sorry.
Oh my God. I don't know where to pick up from now.
Well, the black transsexual. Let's go from there.
Basically, we're in it. It was still at the start. For God's sake.
I know. We need to.
Oh God.
We've got about 25 minutes left.
Lana turns up. She's obviously a prostitute. And I didn't quite understand whether this was a dream sequence or if it was actually real, because it looked very dreamy, sequency. The fact that she just turns up, knocks the door, walks round, finds an open door, walks in, puts the bag down, walks over.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first saw it, I thought it was an ugly black woman. I didn't think it was a guy.
No, I meant Lana.
Oh, no, we've got yeah.
Oh, we've gone past that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can stick with your black transaction
if you want
to. Like.
We can talk about that, Joe, if you want.
I'm just saying. I thought it was a girl.
Oh, okay.
Just not very ugly. I mean, just not very pretty.
Well, there are some like that out there. So the whole kind of having sex sequence with this losing his virginity moment is actually unrealistic. Quite dreamy, isn't it?
Unrealistic. There's no 17-year-old lad who's losing it for the first time with a woman that beautiful.
The French door is open because it starts to get windy, doesn't it? And all the leaves blow in. You're like, oh no, this can't be real. This is a dream sequence. And then it's like, oh, actually, no, it's not. Because then they're like, when you said the F word, then they're having sex like in multiple areas of the house afterwards, and you're like, oh, okay.
And it doesn't last 15 seconds and end up in a very awkward moment where he has to pay her $300 and she leaves the house 5 minutes after she entered it, which is obviously not speaking from personal experience here, but what would actually happen in that situation? Yeah, he turns out to be some.
We should want payment first.
It'd be like Weird Science where they're in the shower with their shorts on and their shoes and socks. It'd be like that's what it would be like in reality. But no, Tom Cruise is this Lothario where they're on the stairs, they're everywhere. They're like
they are
Mickey Rourke in 9.5 Weeks.
Is that so? I'm not obviously a guy, but and I never had that sort of sequence of events as a girl. Is being able to have sex multiple times in the night when you're supposedly a 17, 18-year-old boy realistic?
That bit's fine. The recovery is phenomenal at that age, isn't it? It's just duration. Yeah, that's questionable.
I have breaking news for you, lady. It's realistic now.
Ooh.
Oh.
Joe.
Well, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm not sure I should admit this, but
thanks for sharing that.
I had a record 7 in one day.
7 what?
7 dalliances.
Ladies?
Yeah, no, not 7. The same woman.
7 times in one day.
Don't confess that on your podcast.
Well,
God, where did Charles go?
Oh, careful! We'll get Dr. Phil out.
Yeah, I think you beat me.
Paulie?
But that from Joe sounds as if he wasn't far off.
No, I was about like about 5 times.
Okay.
Well, obviously it's different for ladies.
Well, my daughter's just walked into the room to bring me a beer, so we'll just pause that conversation for a minute.
But thanks for the beer.
Yeah, thanks for the beer.
I need a stiff drink after hearing this conversation.
Please, give me both. I've only got my protein shake.
Oh, I mean, I can't even say this story. I'll have to tell you guys. It's so funny.
Oh,
it
No,
is
you can't do
hysterical.
that. Come on, come on.
Come on, you got to tell. You got to be quick though. But yeah.
All right, well, I'll try to be. All right.
That's what she said.
So I had an apartment in Tampa. So anyway, I knew this girl from work, and we had sex like at my place. My neighbor was from France, and he was below me, and he was the biggest pervert. And his wife was a stripper at Mons Venus, which is like this big strip place over in Tampa.
Was it
And
tasteful or not?
It was the most. It's supposed to be like the most popular strip joint in all the world. People come from all around the world to go to this one place in Tampa.
Okay.
And the French guy was a pervert, you say, Joe?
He was a big pervert. He used to have
Shock.
sweatpants that would have naked women on the side instead of pinstripes.
Oh God.
No, but what he was doing, so we ended up doing our stuff and all that, me and the girl. And so like the next day, he was always pushing me to have a menage a trois with him and his wife, And he goes, "Oh, it'd be so beautiful to have a menage a trois." And he goes, "But don't worry, it won't be me and you, just me and you against my wife." And he goes, "But I tell you right now, if I feel even this touch of your fingernail, it is over." So he used to, and he was always pushing us. He goes, "Oh, tonight would be such a great night for the menage a trois, don't you think, Joe?" I was like, "Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know about this." And
how old were you?
I was like probably around 40.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so the girl calls me up the next day, and she goes, "Oh, I had such a great time." She goes, "I can't believe, how many times we did it." And I says, she goes, and she asked me, she goes, "Are you on Viagra?" And I was like, "No." And is that just the way I am? She goes, "Will you marry me?" And I said, "No." And she goes, you're my Energizer bunny,
Oh,
so I know it's getting, but what happened? So the funny part is so as soon as I hang up with her, the French guy calls me up and he goes, "Joe," he goes, "I was wondering, would you like to take a trip with me and my friend to the Home Depot? I have to return some nails that I bought that I don't like." And I was like, "All right." So we're on our way to Home Depot. And the guy goes, "Oh, Joe, I know I mentioned this menage a trois so many times to you." And he goes, "But I know why you don't want to do it, because you would be embarrassed of me, because I am not like you." And I says, "Well, I don't know about that." Frank, his name was Frank.
Oh,
and I says, don't worry about it. And so he's quiet for a second, and he says, "I cannot hold it in anymore. I have bugged your phone. I listened to your conversation." He goes, "I know what you are like. I heard your girlfriend say what she said. We must have the menage a trois." And I said, "Really? You bugged my phone?"
Did he bug your phone?
He bugged my phone, yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
He was listening to our phone conversations, and
did you report him to the police?
Nah, I didn't care. I just I would say if Frank is listening, he's a jackass, or I'd say worse. Every time I would use the phone after that, but
wow.
Yeah, that was my story. We never. Well, anyway.
Tom, any confessions?
Yeah, is there anything? I mean, while we're
Yeah.
here, I mean,
Well, I think we should keep my powder dry for my pod. This has taken us in some interesting turns, Amanda, doing risky business.
Well, there you go. You see.
Well, when we do the draw, it may be you. It may be you this next time.
Wow.
What I don't understand is the next day he only has $50 and he has to get 300 and he goes to cash in the bond. He leaves her in the house.
I know, that's mental. You wouldn't do that.
Oh, he's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. So gets back. She's nicked the stone. The egg, sorry. I keep thinking it's the vice versa stone, but yeah, okay. But yeah, and then follows her to the hotel. that's where we first meet Joe Pantoliano, who chases him, and he's in the Porsche. Yeah, but when they get back at home, they're like boyfriend girlfriend. It's like really. So, and this is why I don't know what the film wants to be. Is it drama? Because it started off as boy alone in the house, as he said, Dom, an adult home alone. And
I think he's just very naive. He doesn't know how to act. You know, this is his first sexual encounter, proper sexual encounter, and I would say she actually is older than him in the movie as well, because she seems far more experienced just from a business and sort of, you know, a bit worldly, basically.
He's lucky. The only thing she steals is that egg. He's lucky the locks aren't changed. She's turned it into a crack den when he's gone, I think. And then he somehow manages to pull off a reconciliation, doesn't he? And there's that whole Porsche chase scene that comes up. And after all that, he chooses to go to school the next day, despite what's on offer at home. I think there's no 17-year-old man in the world who would make that decision. I've got to go to my classes, I'm afraid.
He has an exam, doesn't he? And he needs to get the exam passed.
Well, it's like E.T., you know. Well, he did stay home from school, Elliot. That's right. No, but didn't he go like with the frogs, and then he got all kind of drunk because E.T. was drinking? So he did go to school. So he went to school
he did.
too.
Yeah, he went to school. Yeah.
I think that Tom Cruise's character was naive. He was probably very sheltered and he was also intimidated by his parents. His friends were having sex all the times because they had more confidence in him. But for some reason, I guess his parents were always talked down to him. He had less confidence. So that's why he's so shy, even though he's so good looking amongst the women that he meets. And I think that she's younger, but she's more life experienced. Like, she ran away from home, you know, probably earlier, but she's been doing this for a while. So because she does look pretty young. I mean, I would say.
Oh, I thought she did look older than him.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
so too.
I did.
Anyway. I didn't get that.
But then you've got the whole thing just moving things along a bit. You know, Joel ends up standing up to Guido the pimp, and you're like, that would never happen. He would just be so scared. But he feels like he's standing up for Rebecca De Mornay because obviously he has feelings for her. But meanwhile, she's robbed him, and she still hasn't returned. At this point, she still hasn't returned the crystal skull or whatever.
Crystal skull.
Yeah. The egg, crystal egg. So yeah, it's weird. And when he's fighting with the pimp on the lawn, and all the kids are there, all of this stuff is going on. What, the neighbours don't bat an eyelid? Don't know it's going on?
Yeah, it's weird.
Don't hear it's going on. The kids don't turn up and go, "We're going to tell your parents when they get back." Right? None of that. They're just basically, everybody knows that this stuff is going on, especially the end scene where all the cars and everything are there. And nobody says a thing. I was always worried. In fact, I was worried that whenever I had my parties, that next door especially, took so much messing, I was about to say something else, from our parties. And there were things, I had to go around and apologise every single time. I had to apologise on the night sometimes. And yeah, but nothing in this film. He can do whatever he likes. Yeah, I know, but at least it has some sort of, you know. But
would we want to see that? Would we want to see the neighbors knock on the door, like give us like 10 more minutes and say, you know, this is a very exclusive neighborhood, and your son had a party, and a bunch of lowlifes were here, and we think prostitutes were there. I don't know.
No. I want one of the neighbors to go up to the house in classic 80s movie style, to go in there, opens the door, and somebody grabs his tie and pulls him in, and next thing he knows, he gets 5 minutes of pleasure, and then he's off, and then he's out.
But that's what that guy from Princeton was there for.
Well, that's yeah. But you know, little minor things like that. They're eating ice cream by this desolate harbour together, and I'm like, where'd they get their ice cream?
Oh, that's when they go and get stoned, isn't it? And...
Yeah, but where'd they get the ice cream from? I mean, it's not like you buy the
ice cream parlor.
What, at 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah, you can.
And it's still been in that situation. It's still been in that state when they've driven down to the desolate harbour.
Don't forget, this is America, not Britain, where admittedly everything would have shut at 5 o'clock in
Yeah.
the evening. You know, this is.
No, they would go down like probably like a main street, and an ice cream parlor would still be open.
Right.
They got ice cream.
So
Or they
Rebecca
can
De
go
Mornay's in the passenger seat like this, holding it. Go, don't get the ice cream on the board.
Well, I don't think she'd be doing that.
Okay, so
It's got
she's
leather
driving, and
seats
he's
anyway,
holding it.
it'll
He goes,
wipe off.
it's running down my hands.
Wouldn't be the first time she'd had both fistful with things running down her hands, would it? Eh?
And dripping.
Oh no. Anyway,
Been
her,
Roger
she, gets
Moore.
her bag, she gets her bag out the car. It shifts the gear stick.
Did she do that on purpose?
No,
No.
no.
That's my big question for the whole movie. Was this a complete setup, even at the end? Like, was she involved with what happened at the end? You know, like where?
Oh,
they
when the
basically
house was
told-
robbed?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think she was.
I think she was too, and I think it's kind of like, because for years I wasn't sure. You know, I thought, well, she probably learned that, well, this is what we're going to do to him. We're going to steal all his furniture, and we're going to get all the money from him. And then she's like, I don't want any part of this, and she leaves. That's what I always thought. But I think it's more like the fable of like the scorpion and the frog, where the scorpion asks, can you take me over
Yeah.
to the little lake? And he goes, but you'll sting me? And he's like, no, I won't. And he goes, then I'll drown. But he stings him anyway. And he says, well, why'd you do it? Now we're going to both die. And he says, well, because I'm a scorpion. And I think that's what she is, you know?
Yeah.
This is the life that she's decided, even though she can have sex with him and enjoy it, she's still going to screw over men whenever she has the opportunity to.
Hmm.
But why did she stay with him and act
I
like
don't
this
think it was her
boyfriend-girlfriend
idea,
thing?
though, to screw him over. I think she had to do it because Guido was her pimp and he wanted the money.
Hmm.
So he saw
Awesome.
what was going on and he basically said, you've got to do this or, you know, you'll be beholden to me forever, whatever. Anyway,
So after that
So the
scene,
car-
the car goes for a dip. Yeah.
the car
That's-
rolls down the hill, ends up in Lake Michigan.
Ferris Bueller's house. Car gets totaled. But he's got his best friend with him. Oh, okay, yeah. I can see where this is going. But yeah, the nurse. Can we talk about the nurse that ends his academic career?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
basically gets suspended because he's late
Yeah.
to school. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
basically means he's flunked.
Yeah, but
He's not going to get into his Ivy Leagues.
but then it moves to the house, and then we've got the
Friends
broth.
night.
As I say, as you said, Dom, there's some sore people coming after that the next day.
Yeah. What do we all think of that? Because I guess that's the crux of the movie, isn't it? All these spent women after the next morning been rogered more times than a copper's radio.
But
They've dropped more boxes than Mike Tyson.
Seen more bare
Wow.
asses than the copper's torch.
They've cocked more. They've been cocked more times than John Wayne's pistol.
have you spent the whole afternoon? Great.
More
Great.
bell ends than weekends. You might need to edit that last one.
Oh, I've got more nuts in their mouth than a hibernated squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Right. Okay.
I'm not clicking the explicit button.
You
They
are
can-
just rude lot, you are. The thing I couldn't quite understand was his whole persona changed. And it was like a really kind of like, he looks even crapper than before. Because like he pops his collar, he gets this jacket on, gets his sunglasses on at night. Who does that? And he's not that kind of guy.
Corey Hart.
But he's not that kind of guy, is he? But it just feels like really weird. And then he's smoking all the time. You're like, no.
Oh, does it change into a
You've
different
never
film?
smoked before. You wouldn't be chuffing like a train. I can assure you, you'd be coughing your guts up.
It's the 17-year-old with the cigar smoking, shagging on the staircase. I mean, wow. What else can he do?
Wow.
Apparently, he can drink. What did he drink? Like a third of a bottle of scotch and then go driving in the Porsche.
Most 17 I want to be throwing up if they're drunk.
Yeah.
Never drunk before.
while they're squishing their pimples.
Oh God,
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. Oh God.
I don't know. I think she convinces him that he's got to change in order for this plan to go through. And even in the beginning, what's his name? The guy from Revenge of the Nerds says sometimes you have to just say, what the F.
What the F, yeah.
And I think he realizes that's what he's got to do, And plus, it's like if he doesn't get that money to fix the car, he's screwed. His parents are going to kill him.
He says every now and then, say what the freedom and opportunity makes your future.
Curtis Armstrong is one of the finest things in this for me. So, just before we skip to the end and we go to the scores and perhaps like a bit of trivia, so that we're still on time. The Princeton admissions guide, that's just ridiculous. I mean, movie. Never mind you say it's a movie, Charles. Just you need to move on from it. That just never, wouldn't happen.
I don't know.
Oh, God,
what do you mean, like
showing
up to his house?
The fact that he came in the first place.
Well, I think if you're rich, your parents are very rich, that could happen. Where someone would interview
your house
you.
For a home interview.
Yeah, I think it could happen if you have enough money.
In the night.
Well, if they told him it's like my son's going to be home, we already told him to expect you, and
at 10 o'clock at night.
Was it 10 o'clock?
Well, it's about that roughly.
I'm trying to defend this movie. I guess
no,
you
can't defend this bit. Yeah, don't worry. He'll be alone. He'll be alone. Just go there at 10 o'clock at night.
All right, if I'm going to be nitpicky about stuff, there's no way they could have fixed that car within 24 hours.
No, true.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And there's no way they could have got that furniture back in place.
No. In 2 hours.
Moving
with just
swiftly
two
on,
men.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they could have
Anyway.
just done a Kelly LeBrock and she could have just thing and it all goes back into the
and it all
house.
goes back to normal. The thing that was quite stuck in my memory was when she took him off. She asked him, "Have you ever made love on a train?" Obviously, he hadn't, because that was the first time he'd had a lady. So she obviously takes him out of the house, and they go to the subway and wait for all the people to get off the coach, off the train, and then they make love on the train. But whilst that's going on, it's the Phil Collins Tonight tune that's playing, and that is what I remember about the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's the sex on the train thing with Phil Collins in the background. That sounds really weird.
The passengers get off, then they get off. Right.
Phil Collins in the background.
Well,
all I know is if you tried to do that on any trains near where I live, you'd be lucky not to catch leprosy off the seats. I think there's absolutely no way I'm putting my John Thomas anywhere near those train seats. Not on the Pennine Express.
Oh my God!
And I was surprised to learn that Chicago has a tube station like you guys have, or a tube system. I didn't know that.
Okay. Oh. Great. We'll talk about that on another podcast. I can't wait for the transit systems in major US cities. What a spin-off.
So to cap it all off, basically, when he returns the next day, all the furniture's gone. Parents are back in 2 hours. Guido answers Lana's phone. And he has got to buy back all his stuff, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So they're unloading, he's buying back, and he just basically doesn't make any money, apart from obviously being able to pay for the repair for the cars and stuff.
Well, the capitalist gets taught a lesson in extortion and mafioso. So yeah, and he gets accepted into Princeton. There's a surprise.
He does.
So yeah. Final. We might not have time for. Have you got some good trivia? Or should we?
It's my.
Should we go to schools?
Thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, hang on. Trivia. Right, there's only a few bits. So, sorry, miles away there, looking at my own notes. The music, most of it was scored by a group called Tangerine Dream.
Yeah, I love that music.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from obviously Phil Collins and Old Time Rock and Roll. Did you know Tangerine Dream also created the theme for Grand Theft Auto?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Oh, well, you would, Charles, because you're a gamer. But
they did the music for Legend over here
did,
with Tim
yeah.
Curry and Tom Cruise. But over where you guys were, I think it was the guy that did Star Trek 2: The Wrath of Khan. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Basil Paul Doris.
Silvestri.
Alan
Well,
Silvestri.
Yeah, he did the music over there for you, so it seemed more classical for you guys. Over here,
Okay.
it sounded more like fantasy-like.
Right. Okay.
Right. The high school was Niles East High School in Illinois. Used obviously in this film in 1983. 16 Candles in 1984.
Oh,
And Weird Science in 1985.
That
wow.
movie sucks. I'm sorry.
What
Yeah.
does? Which one?
Weird Science.
Oh, Joe.
I mean, this one is way leagues above Weird Science.
Oh,
this
give me
movie.
Weird Science every single day.
No,
of the
see,
week.
again, that's because you were a little kid and you seen it. If you would have seen this as a little kid, you would have had dark glasses and his jacket, and you'd be
Oh, God,
walking
don't
around
start.
town. He would have.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
did copy.
So after
some
Top
screen-
Gun, I bought a blue cap, and my mum actually sewed in the Top Gun bit for me.
Just
And I was about
terrible.
22 stone, and I really looked like Tom Cruise.
Well, didn't you have like a jacket like Ducky too?
Yes, and a jacket like Ducky. I got some a long coat like John Cusack in Say Anything, with the trainers and the
Tom,
sweatpants.
you didn't know.
And I
him
also
then,
had a
Tom.
I also had a beret like for Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Jesus.
I know,
Dom.
mate. I was a fashion catastrophe. You didn't know.
Dom,
me
did
then.
you know him
No.
then?
No.
Arrived after this.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
And
Should we
me.
Should we get to scores, or have you got another
No, I've got a
scintillating?
few more bits and
Okay.
bobs. Right. The role of Joel Goodson. People that auditioned, apparently. John Cusack,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, Michael J. Fox, Tom Hanks, Sean Penn, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Sean Penn wouldn't have worked. Kevin Bacon, maybe. John Cusack, definitely. Nicolas Cage, God no.
Right.
No.
The role of Lana. Sharon Stone auditioned, didn't get it.
Ooh.
Kim Basinger turned down the role because she didn't like the script. But quite ironically, if that's the term, I don't know, Brooke Shields was considered for the role of Lana, but turned it down to focus on her education at Princeton.
Oh,
Let's see
And
that.
Michelle
Okay.
Pfeiffer was offered the role, but turned it down.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Jennifer
Uh,
Beals went to Princeton too.
At Joel's brothel party, the song Swamp by the Talking Heads plays in the background.
Mhm.
And did you know the song contains the phrase risky business?
I did not know that. No.
Oh, wow, there we go. There were 4 Porsches used in the film. The only remaining 1979 Porsche 928 used
Oh, I know the answer to this one.
in the
Yeah.
film sold for how much in September 2021?
1.8 million.
No, it's 1.98 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How cool's that? Having a Porsche that's like that, worth that amount of money, just because it's
Having a
used in
DeLorean
film.
with a flux capacitor. That's what I would have.
Yeah, I'd rather have that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, so did you know there was a completely different ending for the film?
I did not.
There
No,
were
I didn't
2
either.
filmed.
Okay.
It had a pessimistic tone, with Joel still being accepted to Princeton. He and Lana sit on the roof of a building overlooking the city, pondering his future and hers. And for once, Lana lets her guard down. She says she didn't set him up, but he doesn't believe her. And while Joel asks her for her embrace, reluctantly does so. The studio, however, wanted a feel-good ending because this was the popular theme of teen movies at the time. So both versions were shot and shown to a test audience, and it was agreed that their preference would be the ending for the film, which is what we see in the film.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So that's it really. And the last thing was, I suppose, what I saw on Lip Sync Battle with Jimmy Fallon. So he creates that iconic scene with the microphone and stuff. That was quite funny.
Yes.
But it's been done quite a few times by different people.
But nowhere near as good as that. Okay, so scores. Let's go in order as we did right at the start then. So you haven't changed my score this time. I haven't upped it. I'm going to go with a high 6 from me. I probably will. In fact, I will watch it again based on what we talked about, but it wouldn't be one of those things that I would put on. It won't replace Cocktail, for example, as my go-to background Tom Cruise film. In that sense, I think there's a lot more fun to be had in Cocktail than there is in Risky Business, which is pretty light on comedy. So it's a 6 from me.
Mm-hmm.
Dom?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if I was next. Yeah. So I thought there were parallels with the film we looked at last week, which was a relatively minor film in the career of, one of the arguably the greatest actors in Robert De Niro. And here we've got a relatively minor film in the career of one of the arguably the greatest movie star of all time. I've heard this film described as a satire, but for me, it's a celebration of America in the 1980s and money and greed and consumerism. And I really enjoyed that sense of time and that sense of place that it evoked. For me, 6.5. That's what I'm scoring.
Okay. Cool. Joe?
I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Joe?
I almost gave it a 9. But it's like, it can't be a 9.
It can't be an 8.5. But anyway. Okay.
Yes, it can. It is.
Well, it is. Yes, you're right.
And typically you don't score high, Joe.
No.
Well, a lot of it's nostalgia
for
me too.
Oh.
So this is
nice.
as good as Joker then, Joe. Right. I know, Joker you gave a 9. Right.
Oh, well, it's good for different reasons, though.
Right, okay. Yeah.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Wow.
It just brought back a lot of good feeling when I watched it last time, which was years and years and years ago, basically.
Okay. So what score does that give us then?
Oh, I don't know. What's that? 6, 6.5, an 8.5, and an 8. Oh, God.
I think that puts it in, since we started scoring films, that puts it in
16.
Second place, I think. Fatal Attraction scored higher. King of Comedy scored slightly lower. You think I'd take a...
That's 29 out of 40.
Okay. We need to... We will get the league table ready for the next podcast. Speaking of the next podcast, it's time.
Oh, great.
It's the hat.
Right, wait a minute. Give it a proper shake-up. Right, so, okay.
Gryffindor.
Right. And it
that
is.
hat in Harry Potter is a right moany old hat, isn't it?
It's me, I'm afraid. Sorry, Dom.
Oh.
We might end up doing your 4 last, but maybe I should have had a pot we picked from each one. Maybe we might do that one next. But the next film we'll be doing is Greed is Good. We're doing Wall Street.
Oh, you were watching that the other day.
I was, and I've watched it plenty of times, and I'm not going to spoil it, but yes, I do like it. So Wall Street will be the next podcast in 2 weeks' time. So, and maybe Dom might get a. Do you know? Let's put that into. I think we put it into piles. I'll get them out and I'll put them in, and we'll pick one from yours, because otherwise you might be waiting a while, even with the law of averages. I discussed one of your choices, Dom, yesterday, and universally, one of them. I can't tell you which one. They just went, "You've got to see this." And I said, "Well, I haven't seen it." Oh, cancel everything. You've got to see this film right now. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Okay.
We don't know what it is, so
No.
Well, I don't really know what it is either, because I suggested 8 to Charlie on the basis that he always edits some of my choices out. So he's somehow selected 4 from the 8 that I gave him. So I'm not even quite sure what's in the mix, to be honest.
I couldn't do Hellraiser. Hellraiser, unfortunately, had to park because we couldn't include Amanda in that one.
Sorry.
Yeah. Pinhead. Anyway, so there we go. Wall Street. Oh, looking forward to that.
Right.
That's my last Michael Douglas film, just in case you thought I loaded it all with Michael Douglas stuff.
Yeah, roll call's going to be a bit dodgy that week, isn't it? Do we do it again, given that we did Fatal Attraction, or?
Well, we gloss over with Michael Douglas and talk about the genius that is Charlie Sheen. Hey, Joe, your favourite?
Man, I heard a lot of stuff about Charlie Sheen recently. I never heard before. It's like, can't wait for that.
It's brilliant. I'm on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen. Brilliant.
Okay. Well,
What a
thanks
guy.
everyone, because I've really enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah, really good. And it's rough. Well, not roughly to time, I suppose. But yeah, great. We will try and keep it to an hour and a half next time. But we just had too much fun, and I'm sorry for talking about my parties, sexual exploits, parties, and the police turning up at the house in a riot van.
I think everybody's got to know us a little bit better now.
I think they have, yeah.
The Risky Business podcast.
Yeah.
And Frank, if you're out there listening, drop us a note. Let us know about what else you heard on Joe's phone calls back in the day.
Yeah, email us at.
Frank is listening.
Anyway, get in touch. I was about to say the website. We're going to close the website down because the website wasn't doing anything. We're far more better on socials and things like that. So contact us, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You will find nothing else but Rusted Junk. But yeah, contact us on Messenger. We love that. We love when people get in touch on Messenger. So please go and look for that and get in touch with us. So anyway, great podcast, everyone. Loved it. I'll say bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Yeah. See ya.
Toodle pip.
Bye.